Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. So hopefully we're live. So, what's going on today? I'm planning to move my stream to Twitch from YouTube, obviously. Since I have virtually no viewers anyway on YouTube, why not do it? I will still post, I think like the one viewer I have watches on the replay anyway. I'm still, as long as I can work out how to do it properly, planning to upload the streams to YouTube once they're done. For continuity's sake, and why not anyway, right? So I'm waiting for a new monitor stand. I'm worried that if there is any chat, which is probably unlikely anyway, I won't be able to see it. But, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, right? So, Monday morning is Danny Ric Delivery Day. Danny Ric Delivery Day, we sort of chat about motorsport while doing some Eurotruck and play as Danny Ric in the Renault. And we've got a job in progress, and we just had the Hockenheim Grand Prix and the Spa 24 hours, so, you know, there's plenty to keep us occupied, right? Plenty to keep us occupied. There we go. I don't have technical difficulties. We just have yeah. So motorsport chat and Eurotruck. Even though it was pretty interesting Grand Prix, I'm probably going to start with the Spa 24 hours. But we do have a mission started here, so let's start driving, and then we'll start chatting. So yeah, I mean the premier GT3 race of the year. And one of the great things about it is streamed live, isn't it? Streamed live and free on YouTube. Fantastic.
Okay, here we go.
Right, here we go. Let's select a forward gear first, huh? Do I have the load on the back here? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm 100% ready to go here. A legend.
Turn right. Keep left, and then turn left.
And man, did you see the weather?
Turn left.
The weather was just terrible, wasn't it? It was a bit of a funny, I think it started about midnight my time. And then when I got up in the morning, it was in the middle of the night there, and the onboard footage was just so bad. You couldn't see a thing. It was pouring with rain. Absolutely pouring with rain. And yeah, eventually they got red flagged because of the weather conditions for a fair old portion of the race. Such an interesting race, such an amazing field of cars, isn't it? You know, getting, what is it, 60 GT3 cars. It's the good thing about that formula, that there's so many championships across the world, and they can all compete together in an event like that. I mean, it's not Le Mans, is it? It's not Le Mans, but I don't think I've ever seen one of those races there either where it doesn't absolutely pour with rain at some stage. It sort of puts you off going. You sort of go, I'd love to go to Spa one day. But hand in hand with that, you're going to get wet. You're going to get a cold, aren't you? For sure. I think maybe the 24-hour event might be a bit of a push to go and watch that one. If you're going all the way across the world,
and then exit right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't even want to talk too much about the happenings in that race because it is what it is. But just as an event, it's so good to have it streamed live and free. You know, good competent commentary. Good commentary. Very few technical difficulties on their stream. Because, I mean, they stream all their races, don't they? That channel's getting bigger and bigger. So, yeah, the 24 Hours of Spa. But let's not dwell on that. Let's get straight on to Hockenheim. It's going to be sad, isn't it, to not have that track, or at least German Grand Prix on the calendar if somebody doesn't come up with some money. The track combined with the rain just makes for an interesting race. I guess it goes to what people say about some of the newer tracks, doesn't it, whereby they complain about there's sort of too much runoff. When you have a track like that and it rains, and mistakes really cost you, it changes the complexion of the race. So it does. So yeah, I saw some comments from people saying, you know, make rain mandatory at every event. Just do like they do at Maranello and put the sprinklers on, maybe. Guarantee a 1/3 wet race. But man, it seemed like that weekend you were either going to have an absolutely fabulous weekend or you're going to have the worst weekend ever. There wasn't a lot of average weekends, was there? Some people had absolutely shockers. I mean, let's start with Danny Ric. This is Danny Ric Delivery, and you know, the legend himself. Terrible weekend. Seemed to have sort of no pace. Seemed to have no pace all weekend. In their defence, though, the midfield battle was extremely tight. Only, I think it was about 300 separating, you know, about 10 cars.
Keep right, and then exit right.
So Danny Ric himself said, you know,
exit
the
right.
driver can always find 2/10, so I've got to take that one on the chin. Paraphrasing,
Get ready,
but you know.
turn left.
So his qualifying wasn't so flash, and then apparently they broke an exhaust. I watched the F1 highlights, and he didn't appear on them, basically. It was like, well, what happened to Danny Ric? Had to go trawling the internet, but apparently he broke an exhaust. So, out pretty early in the race. His teammate Hulkenberg had I won't say he had a good qualifying, but he out-qualified Danny Ric. And then at one stage he was sort of running P2, P3. It's like, oh, he's finally going to get that podium. And then the next thing, it's Hulkenberg's out. Bloody hell. Poor old Hulk, huh? Poor old Hulk. Cannot buy. Reminiscent of previous times where he's had a slight sniff of a podium, you know, and
keep right, and then turn
had an accident.
right.
I mean, a lot of people had an accident. Anyone who had an accident yesterday can't be treated too harshly, I don't think. Although some of them probably will. But
Turn right.
I think inconsolable was how you would describe how he looked after the event. Poor old Hulk. No love for Hulk. So all in all, by the time you got to the end of it, it went from probably an okay weekend to a pretty terrible one for him.
Get ready to turn right.
I think Danny Ric too would be in the same boat, because he would sort of be hoping that with these rain races
Turn right.
are the ones where those guys have a chance to, you know, get a few places because the car becomes a bit less of a factor. So with the car becoming a bit less of a factor, people like him and Hulk are hoping to pick up some points, move up the field, because, you know, well, I'm the better driver, but, you know, I'm in the Renault. Unfortunately, that sort of didn't work out for them, did it? So you got to feel a bit sad for Hulk, I think. I mean, Danny Ric didn't look worried at all.
Get ready to turn right.
Sort of never does he? But yeah, not a great weekend for the Hulk.
Turn right.
I mean, where do you start when you sort of go through the field? Do you just go down the finishing order? I think well, Verstappen, I mean, there's a man who had a great weekend, wasn't it? You know, we sort of said about it seemed like you either had a really good weekend or a terrible weekend. So he had a great weekend. It sort of reminded me more of an IndyCar race, because, you know, Max had a couple of incidents but still won the race. You know, there could be things going wrong and you were still in the race because it was just a tough race from start to finish. And that's a compliment when you say it reminded me of an IndyCar race.
Get ready to
Vettel,
turn right.
terrible weekend from start to finish except for the actual race. I mean, almost
Turn right.
that dream of last to first. Almost. But no cigar on that one. But there's a dude who sort of needed a good weekend. It's going to be interesting to see the press, I think, because the last same month has all been about, oh, Vettel, is he overrated? Is he any good? You come back, have one decent result, bearing in mind you've won a whole lot of championships and been second in the championship however many years, and all of a sudden he'll be back on top. So yeah, good run for him. I mean, we know Vettel can handle the rain, and just always think of that first win in the Toro Rosso, which was an amazing thing. To win in a Toro Rosso, it's just... Kvyat almost pulled it off, didn't he? But no easy task. We've got 700 kilometres. Oh, it's a long trip. So yeah, and he sort of was solid all day, wasn't he? Like I said, you know, he can sort of handle the rain. And those guys who can handle the rain are the best drivers, aren't they? So, good stuff really from Vettel. Solid. You know, a shame that shame qualifying didn't go better for him. Leclerc, on the other hand, had a bit of a shocker, didn't he? In terms of, well, Ferrari had a shocker until the actual race. I forget what the problem was on his car for the. I forget what the problem was on his car for the qualifying, but out in Q3 without even getting a run, basically. And then lost it on the turn 16. One of the things I wasn't
and then exit right.
One of the things I wasn't a super fan of was he then came out and said, "Oh, it's ridiculous that we have to race on the surface with no grip."
Exit right.
Just sort of think, oh,
go straight on.
Don't be one of those guys. The fans are going, "This was a great race."
Right.
Let's hope he's not going to be a whinge. We'll put it down to emotion now. I mean, when you sort of look at, say, American tracks, people are lucky to have runoff, you know, they have a lot of runoff. A lot of those US tracks, some of the tracks in Australia, runoff is a luxury, man. So, yeah, don't be a crybaby, Charles. I'm still a fan, but you know, let's hope he doesn't go the full whinge.
Keep right, and then exit right.
So yeah, was it turn 16? Turn 16 MVP, just
exit right.
I sort of look at it, it's a bit like having a wall there, you know, if there's a wall there, like in Wall of Champions in Canada or something like that, you hit it, you're out, you know. Fact of the matter was, if you got too far out on that corner, you're done, you know. Same for everyone.
Go straight on.
It was a rough bit of braking, I'm not gonna lie. Nailed it. Nailed it. And then in third place, incredibly, the Torpedo. Well, they run strong in the wet, torpedoes, don't they?
Keep left and then turn left. Turn left.
I mean, that's a pretty incredible run for those guys, you know. It's a bit like I was saying with Renault, that
turn right.
Those guys in the Toro Rosso, a bit like the guys in the Renault. You know, when you're in these worse cars, this is your chance for a good result, isn't it?
Turn left.
So, Renault making a pig's ear out of it.
Get ready to turn right. Turn right.
Toro Rosso making a silk purse out of it. I mean, that's pretty cool. I guess both him and L1 might be thinking too that they're fighting for a seat because, you know, what's going to happen with Gasly next year. one of them might find. I don't know if any of them are going to go to Red Bull, but one of them might find themselves displaced by Gasly at Toro Rosso. There's a lot of people sort of driving for their seat at the moment, isn't there? Well, let's go on to Mercedes. And a man we know is driving for his seat is Valtteri. And he had a sort of okay weekend, and then
Keep right, and then exit right.
Went off with a couple of laps to go.
Exit right.
It's sort of one of those days, wasn't it, where everyone's going off. I mean, Hamilton's going off, but poor Valtteri didn't need that one.
Go straight on.
Mercedes kind of had one of their worst weekends for a long time. I mean, their car is definitely temperature sensitive, isn't it? It seems to make good use of the tyres.
Keep left.
In normal conditions. When it gets a bit hot, they lose a bit of pace. And then in terms of the accidents in the rain, I don't think there's much in it, is it? It's just, it's raining, stuff happens. I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of Lewis Hamilton, but again with the 5-second penalty, it's a bit rough when there's nothing else you can do, I think. It's a bit like Vettel's one. Complaining about when you rejoin the track, when you come back on the track, you're sort of mid-accident. If there's nothing you can do, you know, if it was like, oh, you just go up the runoff and then you got to pick where you come back on the track and that type of stuff. And, you know, I haven't had to look at the replay 10 times or anything. But to me, it looks similar to Vettel's incident in that you redrawn the track because that's where you had to redraw the track. It wasn't sort of like at Monza when you sort of go into that chicane too fast and you just go down the runoff and you've got to go around here and go past the bollard. So when you're still mid-accident when you come back on the track, I mean, what is it you're supposed to do? You know, it's not F1 2019, you can't play the rest of the flashback button and just not have the accident. So yeah, again with the penalties, you know, when you have an accident, you sort of penalise yourself already, haven't you? Couldn't argue that he'd had an advantage from it, you wouldn't think. I mean, I know they're trying to enforce the thing with the bollard, but I mean, if you've got no choice, why even penalise it? It's just silly, isn't it? Mind you, I could be wrong on that one. Like I said, I haven't watched the replay. Haven't watched the replay 27 times. Excuse me. And then, I mean, you've got to talk about Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll in 4th. Who'd have thunk? So yeah, a great weekend for him. They made a good call on the tyres on the time they went on the slicks, I think. But I mean, that's what it takes, isn't it? Could have been close to a podium, eh? His teammate, on the other hand, the first few laps, I think it was, crashed it. Perez in the wall. So a tale of two cities for that team. But they believe it's their sort of...
Keep right, and then exit right.
Oh, that's right. We've got to go for the fuel stop.
Exit right.
We've got a planned fuel stop. Can you believe it?
Go straight on.
Not sure what's going on there. Let's see if we can get out of here. Oh, the police.
Rerouting. Go straight on.
So yeah, he was a man who made the most of the week, wasn't he? He's one of those guys where I think he's slightly underrated. You know, I don't think he has what it takes to win a world championship, but I think he's far from the worst guys ever been in Formula One. On a paid seat. There's been a lot worse than that, that's for sure. A lot worse. After that, in fifth, Carlos Sainz. Now he's a man who had a good weekend. That was another tale of two teams, wasn't it? Lando, terrible weekend. Tough in the rain for some of these young guys, huh? But Lando, terrible weekend, but Carlos, he's really sort of seeming to solidify, isn't he?
Keep right, and then exit right.
Is this... Somebody's saying this is sort of the first year where he sort of really had a...
right.
Exit right, okay. I'm doing it.
Go straight on.
Go straight on, got you.
Keep right.
He's actually got some stability for next year as well, you know? He just doesn't have to think about next year's seat. Doesn't have to think about next year's seat.
Keep left.
He's been looking really good, hasn't he? Especially race day. He's good at the race. He's good on the game day. He qualified a bit better this weekend as well. He sort of said to himself that's what he needs to do to improve his qualifying, because his race day has been really good.
Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right.
Yeah, so Lando sort of blamed himself for his qualifying position. and had an off in the race, didn't he? Did he finish the race? I can't even... He didn't finish the race, did he? No, he didn't finish the race. Had an off, didn't finish. It's a pretty shocking day for Lando, but a good day for Carlos. Albon, decent day too. 6. I mean, when you finish 6th in the Toro Rosso, you're having a good day.
Get ready to turn right.
Got involved at the end with Gasly.
Turn right.
Okay, well let's talk about Gasly's day then. Didn't have the sort of weekend he needed, did he? Talk about people fighting for their seats. Here's another one of them. I only saw it at full speed once. I'm not sure if when Gasly went to pull out from behind Albon sort of moved to the right to cover it. So the contactor there that sort of ruined Gasly's day. I think he was a DNF. Yeah, he was a DNF.
Get ready to turn right.
Racing incident. I mean, the guy can move to cover his line. He's moved to do it just as
turn right.
Just as Gasly went to pull out. So I mean, it wasn't entirely Gasly's fault. It was just bad timing, I think.
Go straight on.
But he's sort of been cursed this year as well, hasn't he?
Get ready to turn right.
It's strange, isn't it? When things hit you on the back foot,
turn right.
The problems just keep piling up, don't they? Because you have you could even see that with the Mercedes, you know, as soon as things start sort of going a little bit pear-shaped, the problems just keep piling up. It takes a lot of experience, like sort of, you've got to do a Vettel
and then turn left.
And just keep your head down. And he's had a lot of races over his careers like that, where he's just been able to keep his head down and sort of turn what was a bad result into an okay result. Whereas for a lot of people, Gasly included, things just went from bad to worse this weekend. Grosjean and Magnussen. Now, a pretty interesting Haas weekend. Because of course they had, they were testing the Melbourne spec car, loan instalment. Ugh. Got a long to go before we get our next truck, eh? They were testing the Melbourne spec car. And basically the hotter it got, the better that car worked.
Keep left and then continue straight on.
So as the weekend went on, Magnussen was basically getting slower and Grosjean getting faster. Or was it the other way around? No, that's it. And it just goes to that thing, doesn't it, that Ferrari have been saying about the tyres. You know, obviously that car, the new spec car, isn't making those tyres work. Properly.
Keep left and then continue straight on.
Properly. Let's say optimally. They're not making those tyres work optimally. And if they change the sort of tyre regs next year, like a lot of this sort of testing and data and that doesn't help you too much either, does it?
And then turn right.
So we go, well, next year they're on a different type of tyre, so...
Turn right.
When we're designing the chassis, if you design it with this year's tyre in mind, or the improvements that you make this year, you know, how do they help you? They sort of need a compromise between the two cars. I wonder if they can come up with a package and sort of a bit in between the two. I finally got the data that they needed from last weekend, or from Silverstone.
Keep left and then turn left. Turn left.
Oh, come on, mate, just keep going. Unbelievable. So yeah, would you call that a good weekend for Haas? I mean, they got some points with both cars. They needed it, didn't they? But, you know, further confirmation there's something fundamentally problematic with the car. What are we going to do about that next time, you know? I mean, they should now have some idea about what they need to do to the car based on temperature. It just depends on how difficult a setup change that is, you know. Is it just, oh, yeah, it's got different shock, just change it over? Or is it, you know, how comprehensive is that change in the package? And after that, I mean, well, let's go to Alpha. Because they finished themselves, I think it was 7th and 8th. But then they got time penalties that dropped them down to
Go straight on.
12th and 13th. Oh, the brakes. His best friends, I mean, Kimi got a really good start. So you sort of feel like somebody's popped in a complaint about, oh, how did you get such a good start? Apparently they check the data about how much torque gets applied, how quickly, compared to what the driver's foot is asking for. And it's sort of failed that, whatever the parameters they have for that are. So look at the map. Come on. Where's it got us going? Doing a U-turn here. Makes sense to go more around here, doesn't it? So I mean, that's an interesting one. I guess the thing is, what they're sort of saying is are they using a form of traction control on the start? Or it's limiting the torque. Oh, this is a terrible idea. But we made it. Can you believe it?
Keep right, and then turn right.
So I mean, do they do that every time somebody gets a good start?
Turn right.
Apparently they need to, from what I read, it needs to match what the driver requests within 0.07 seconds. The time taken for them to match the torque the driver's requesting was 0.2 and 0.3 seconds. So I don't know, do you think Sauber's cheating on the clutch? Is it using some sort of torque limiting traction control? It must be hard to check that in the wet. I wonder how they do monitor it. How do you know how much
to turn right.
torque?
Turn right.
Is it simply a calculation of throttle position? I mean, how much torque do you know they're delivering? I don't know. Interesting question. Do they have a sensor? You know, do they have a sensor for torque measurement? It seems a bit far-fetched. Or is it simply throttle position? Who knows? So, if you know, let me know. Either way, they somehow both lost out on the points by getting 30-second penalties each. It's amazing, isn't it? It's another one of those ones. Who was it this year who had that 30-second penalty? Just enough time to slot you out of the points, and certain people back into the points. If, for example, Hamilton would have got no points except for the 30-second penalty for the Alphas, I'm sure some conspiracy theorists will be sort of hot onto that one. What do they call it? The Mafia? M-A-F-I-A? Mercedes Mafia. We're going for fuel. We're still good on fuel. Yeah.
Keep left and then continue straight on.
And then,
Go straight on.
speaking of strange people scoring points, Kubica scored a point. Don't you think it's a... I hope George Russell isn't one of those guys who's just cursed, you know? Kubica has not all season out-qualified him or out-raced him.
Go straight on.
The one time you get a lucky point because of the rain and the penalty and all that type of stuff, Kubica gets it. So a point for Williams. Unfortunately, that means it puts an end to sort of the jokes about it being a pointless season for them. But yeah, I almost feel like it's unjust that Russell didn't get the point, you know. But it is what it is. What's going on there? It's come to a screeching halt. What are you doing, dude? What the hell? Have I offended this guy?
Go straight on.
He's having a rough time. He must be listening to the GPS as well, huh? We're due in Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Acid. Wednesday midnight, so we're well and truly no problems there. He said, just before he crashes it horribly. A load of acid. It's one of those things, isn't it? You probably, if you're a truck driver towing a load of acid, how much do you think about it?
And then continue straight on.
It's okay. One time over a million, this is going to go horribly wrong.
Go straight on.
Yeah, so, the Williams, I mean, there's not much to say about them, is there? Stuck in for a lucky point with a penalty and
Keep right, and then exit right.
and some rain. I mean, they got both cars to the end.
Exit right.
So they did. That's kind of the Formula One wrap-up, isn't it? So, I mean, what do you take away from that weekend? How are those guys who were fighting for their seats? Not many of them had a good day, did they? You know, Gasly, not a good day. Bottas, not a good day.
Go straight on.
Hulkenberg, if accounts be to believed, don't know if they are or not, but not a good day. Kvyat maybe? Kvyat had a good day.
Keep right, and then turn right.
Where are we? Liege. What is that?
Turn right.
It's an area I know nothing about. Don't worry, I've just decided to drive acid through the centre of every town. It's fine. Because I want to pick up the unlockables, right? I mean, again, that having something that throws a spanner in the works makes a decent race.
Get ready to turn right.
In this case, the weather.
Turn right.
But and the track as well, you know. It's a tight turn, this one. Try not to get the curb too badly. Nice.
Get ready to turn right. Turn right.
I mean, it is a tricky track, isn't it? When you drive Hockenheim on sim racing, there's a couple of sections it's just really hard to get perfect, especially consistently. The stadium section, especially,
Get ready to turn
you know,
left.
it's very tricky to get the car right and get through there well.
Turn left.
Hey, mate. We're fine with that, right? So it's just a thing, isn't it, where the tracks are
Keep
really a
left
big part of the
and
racing.
then continue straight on. Go straight on.
Well, we've seen that recently, haven't we, with these older style tracks that are sort of in this part of the season, just producing such better racing. I mean, despite Charles's crying about it, having something that's changeable, having something that penalises you when you get it a bit wrong, makes a big difference. With a lot of tracks, a lot of new tracks, there just isn't enough of a penalty for making a mistake. You know, those Middle Eastern tracks, and you can push as hard as you want. You make a mistake, yeah, you run off. You come back on. You look at those IndyCar races through the street circuits, you know, there's no... You can't afford to make too big a mistake around there, that's for sure, because you're out. It's like Monaco, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure that when they design those tracks, they're thinking of their other uses. You know, Formula One might be one race that you have during the year, but if the rest of your year is people driving sports cars, you know, rich people driving sports cars and GT3 racing, plane hovering strangely in the sky, then you want to have that sort of runoff. Oh, I'm not going to get in front of this guy, am I? Just peering.
Keep right and then exit right. Exit right.
I mean, everyone wants safety, don't they? That's the argument against some of these things. You know, you wouldn't want to go into turn 1 at Monza with a wall right in front of you. You know, that's just not safe. You know, somewhere like Hockenheim seems to have the balance right about there's a bit of runoff in some of the turns. Yeah, there's a lot of runoff in some of the turns. Where if they don't penalise the track limits, people will just take massive chunks of time out of the track by running wide. And they're very difficult turns, so there's runoff, you know. With some of the turns, you get that one wrong, you're in the gravel trap. Just don't get it wrong. Same for everyone. See, I think one thing you're really taking away from this season is the difference that tracks make to racing. I mean, it sounds stupid to say that, I know, but it's one of those things where it's not talked about very much because probably in a large part they don't want to start pointing out that, oh well, half the tracks we go to are a bit rubbish in terms of their design, but we go there because we get paid to turn up, you know. You don't want to come out and say it. You want to fix the racing? Well, you want to fix the racing, we'll have to change the tracks we race on. We'll have to stop going to Abu Dhabi and Bahrain and wherever the hell else. You know, in those sort of long endurance sports car races, it sort of makes sense because those guys are sort of a bit more willing to stick to the track limits. Or it's not quite as important. Or it's such a long race, you know, you want the track to be a bit more forgiving. But when you're having this F1 style sprint races, you kind of need more of a penalty for getting it wrong. I have made no headway on this car carrier at all, have I? I think I'm going to have to turn right again too.
Keep right.
I can't even remember what team we're going to. It doesn't really matter. It's the trip, not the destination.
Exit right.
Liege. Have we been there?
Turn left.
It's one of those country intersections, isn't it, where you've got a main road where people are moving real fast and, 60k, 60. Sort of just T-junction onto it, you've got to turn out across it. I hope I haven't made a nav error here because I feel like I'm doubling back on myself. I could check the map, but you know, what's the fun in that, right? It's getting a bit late, let's pop the lights on, there we go. Since we're going so well for time, let's fill her up. So it'll be a real shame if there's no German Grand Prix, no matter what track it's at, next year. I mean, you know, that is a country that should have a Grand Prix. I mean, why on earth would you have a calendar without a German Grand Prix? You know, I went sort of saying on the Friday. It's just, there's a few countries where you sort of go, no, you know, we really should have a Grand Prix there. I mean, not even as France. I mean, France is only just back on the calendar. At a circuit that I could only describe as, you know, retarded. But, you know, France should have a Grand Prix. It's heartland, isn't it?
Get ready to turn right.
You know, there should be a British Grand Prix. There should be a French Grand Prix. There should be an Italian Grand Prix. There should be a German Grand Prix. You know, they should always race at Monaco and they should always race at Spa. But I'd say there probably should be a Japanese Grand Prix. But I mean, Germany would almost be in the top 3 of places where you should say countries that definitely should have a Grand Prix. Not only that, I mean, think about your fan base. People sort of underestimate the size of the German market because it's sort of not an English-speaking market, but it's a big market. And let's be real, they're one of the few places that still make cars. Trailer damage 2%, not sure what I did there. It's going to get bumpy, isn't it? Yeah. That's not too bad.
You have arrived at your destination. Your route guidance is now finished.
Oh. Do you know what? I can't be bothered driving down there. Mate, you paid me to bring it to the gate. Once it's here, it's your problem. A solid worker. Right. Do we want just in time or fragile? I'll go fragile. There we go. Why not? Let's check our driver while we're here. Let's check our driver. How is Katie going? Still working on the long distance. I call him to get at least 3. I wanted to get 3 long distance, so we'll leave that. How is our debt going? Left to repay 371,000. Okay. Job market. Freight market. Actually, should we get our own trailer? We really want another truck. Where am I? I was going to go to Luxembourg, wasn't I? You know what? Why don't we do that? Why don't we drive into Luxembourg? Unlock those and we'll get ourselves a job there.
Ready to roll.
Here we go. I am going the right way, aren't I? Oh, it's moved me down. I thought, well, I should just be able to turn around and drive out. So I couldn't be bothered driving down there. Then it took me down there anyway. Oh well. First world problems. So yeah, it's pretty, it'll be pretty terrible if there's no German Grand Prix next year. Is it one of those things where it's just, it's just a publicity thing? Gives people something to talk about, gets in the news. I mean, it's sort of been on the cards for a while, hasn't it? You know, they're not making any money, these German tracks, when they're having, even though the stands are full. It's just such a strange thing to me. Like, if I want to go to my local racetrack and hold an event, I've got to pay them.
Turn left.
Formula One, you pay them more than you're going to make. It's crazy.
Turn left.
It's one of the things, isn't it, where they haven't done a good job of looking after. Oh, it's upside down, bro. Been there. But they don't do anything about sort of looking after their base of tracks, their home base, you know. There's not sort of enough of a profit share that's divvied out outside of Formula One and the teams. You know, I don't know about where you live, but say the football, Australian Rules Football Association, whatever they call. They put a fair bit of money into local resources, grassroots resources. You sort of think Formula One should be looking after the tracks, not bleeding the tracks dry, especially good tracks.
Get ready to turn right.
I guess they like the flexibility to move, you know.
Turn right.
If Hockenheim won't pay us, you know, Vietnam will. Or whoever. I mean, sure, money is tight, I guess, in Formula One at the moment, supposedly. I mean, they certainly don't look poor when they go around, do they? Some of the motorhomes and that, and the centres that the teams bring with them. They bring their own two-storey building. Might go and get the truck repaired as well. But yeah, you sort of think, oh, it's going to be a sad day if there's no German Grand Prix. What else happened in the world of motorsport? And one thing I've got to say about the Formula One teams is their YouTube game is like pretty average, isn't it? I sort of follow all of the teams, their main YouTube channel. I guess maybe they have sort of restrictions on what they can broadcast because of TV deals and who knows what agreements that they sign, but you know, a lot of their content is really sort of dull and second rate. Especially, you know, the Toro Rosso one, they go to the trouble of doing a vlog for each driver for each Grand Prix, but it's a nothing. Is the thing? Well, don't bother.
Keep
If
right.
it's not interesting, don't bother, mate. Oh, keep right. Whoa, what the hell? I have no idea what happened there. Truck just suddenly switched off and
Exit
skidded
left.
off. Renault problems, huh? I'm like Danny Ric. Maybe I've broken exhaust. Dangerous turn 16 there. But yeah, none of them produce anything that's really quite interesting. Or, you know, it shouldn't be that hard. You know, or even exciting, or... You know, I haven't seen anything good from any of them for months. I think the last thing I saw that was any of interest was I think it was on Renault's channel, and they basically put
Go straight on.
a Sky News, I think it was Sky News segment that was done on their factory years ago. That was pretty interesting, you know. But they don't sort of put anything that's behind the scenes. I guess maybe with TV deals they're not allowed to put on boards. You sort of think that'd be interesting. You know, with the DTM, for instance, you get live onboards.
Get ready to turn right.
You know, it'd be something. You know, they need sort of something to put on there. Renault puts a lot of its other racing on there.
Turn right.
They almost need to separate that. You know, if you're sort of on the Renault, you want to sort of see Renault F1 content. I'm not interested in the Clio Cup. It's not relevant. You know, they need another channel for one for F1 and one for everything else, basically. You know, maybe put in Formula 2, or maybe put in the...
Get ready to turn right.
There is a garage here, isn't there? Supposedly. Go in the garage and sort the truck out.
Never mind. I'll find a new route.
Don't stress, lady. I'm just putting in for some repairs after the mysterious breakdown there. It's tyres. So yeah, I mean, you sort of think that, you know, if you're a company like McLaren or Williams or Renault's F1 racing branch or Toro Rosso or Red Bull, so between all of these people, none of them can pop out a, you know, decent YouTube video every now and again. They got the one thing that people really need. It's sort of an interesting subject matter.
Turn right.
You know, I mean, that's half the battle for people on YouTube, isn't it? It's having a subject that's interesting. Yeah, well, mate, you work at a Formula 1 factory. They could show me the toilets in there and I'd go, oh, there. Interesting. They still make it dull.
Turn right.
Yeah, the transporter. That'd be interesting. Show me the transporters.
Keep right.
Okay, we're just going to pull over here for a minute. Go on the map. Freight market. Luxembourg. We might hook up our next job and then call it a day. 30 and 30. 44 tonnes. Great Britain. Special transport. We've got 2, Luxembourg to Liège. Should we do a special transport? I mean, you've got to admit they're good money, don't you? 60 tonnes, 44 tonnes. No. No, we're going to stick with our original plan. I wouldn't mind going to Austria. How about we go there? 36 tonne mobile crane. That'll do me. Yeah, whatever.
Time to hit the road.
We'll take anything. We've got that Renault power.
Take the first exit.
Over-promise and under-deliver. It's the motto.
Go straight on.
Well, I'll wait for the lights. There we go. Yep, so we'll just hook it up and then we'll call it a day, I think. So, I mean, have we covered everything that we needed to cover?
Keep right, and then turn right.
I think we have. I don't have much to say about the actual racing at the 24 Hours of Spa. Yeah, it's one of those things, it is what it is. I actually missed the last...
Keep right.
Because of the time difference, I got down to the last 40 or so minutes, but then had to go to bed, mate.
This is where it ends.
So yeah, in terms about what's going to happen with YouTube and Twitch, I've got it set up so I should be able to upload the stream to YouTube. So besides that, I'm then planning to stick to the same schedule as before, give or take.
Let's go.
There we go, get on the road. That's cool, isn't it? That is super cool. Sort out our map for next time. I might do a fuel stop up here. There we go. Liège we've been to. Dortmund we've been to. We'll just try and pick that one up on the way.
Time to get the job done.
So yeah, we'll stick to the same schedule, which at the moment is Monday morning. This is Australian time, 9:30 AM, which I think is 11:30 PM UTC. Danny Ric Delivery, where we do Eurotruck and motorsport chat. Wednesday, Bus Sim 18, where we just laugh at the passengers, basically. And Friday is Las Vegas Express, where we do American Truck Sim and just general chat about the issues of the day, the news, sort of part podcast. Part podcast, part trucking, alright? Okay, so we are going to leave it there. So we are. So let's shut this stream down. I will say that with the chat, I'm waiting for a new monitor stand. So my other monitor's sort of sitting way far away. Basically, I can't even see the chat. But I'm totally going to sort that out once that stand arrives. I need 3 monitors actually, but you know, what do you do? End the stream.